Titi from PADI. Wonderful. Well, why don't you just kick us off, please, and just briefly introduce a little bit about yourself and then a little bit about your startup.
Hello, everyone. My name is Titi Olotu. I am a current third year biology student at UCLA, and I'm also the founder of PADI and PADI for You, which is the nonprofit initiative that works with it. A little bit about me, I'm a Nigerian immigrant. I immigrated in 2015, and since then, honestly, being the eldest daughter, it's just been navigating life, navigating school and work and all. But now with Patty, it stemmed from my nonprofit, which when we connected with a lot of women in Nigeria, we got to learn a lot about the discrepancies and a lot of the gaps that, early diagnostics tend to have, or like lack of early diagnostics. So with that, Patty was born.
Exciting. Oh, wow. Stemming all the way from Nigeria. Um, Titi, give me a second here. Looks
No
like internet
worries.
is going in and out, but hopefully it will be okay. This tool's pretty nice that it records from both sides, and so it
Okay,
shouldn't be a
that's good.
big problem. Wonderful. And so tell us a little bit more specific about Patty. What exactly is the startup? What are you all working on?
Patty is one of the first biodegradable biosensors. Basically, what we are trying to provide is early diagnostics for women in, let's say, your underserved areas or for underserved youths. It basically utilizes menstrual blood, which is usually discarded and, seen as this messy and this terrible thing. And we're trying to turn that into a beautiful occurrence where you can track your health just with the use of, your menstruation every month. So you get about 5 days worth of data rather than, going into the hospital, getting a blood test, all that stuff. And we're focusing on tracking UTIs, PCOS, BV, and we hope to expand further.
It's actual health tracking for women that is more up to date always, right? Like you said, you're getting up to 5 days of tracking versus having to go into the doctor. Who knows, right? Like how often do people even visit like their GEs these days, right? Not very often.
Exactly. Right. And it's
Yeah.
non-invasive, which is perfect. And for a lot of women, having to get a blood test, even calling, right? Or the lack of insurance. We know that healthcare is becoming more and more inaccessible. And we just wanted to provide a resource for especially a young girl. And I will say there's still some discrepancy with the healthcare system where, like, let's say a young girl comes and she says, my menstruation is out of whack. The first thing they say is, you're overweight. You need to lose weight. And I feel like for a young girl, that's not what they want to hear. They want to, assess me. I want to understand what's going on with my body. And many people end up saying, oh, I had PCOS, and they just said I had to lose weight. So that sort of issue and stigma still lies within the feminine healthcare world. And that's what we're working to destigmatize.
Wonderful. And so, are your target sort of audience, target market, mostly younger women, would you say, or how would you describe your ideal customer base?
To be very honest, we like to say, we support all women. We say the option for all women, but more particularly, I will say younger girls that are just starting their menstruation and trying to navigate what it means to be a woman. I've seen many cases during our time with Patty for You where a lot of women say, if I knew I had PCOS much sooner, I would have changed my diet, I would have changed my lifestyle. That would have helped me. I can have kids now, but now because I didn't make those changes on time, I feel scared. I'm taking all these supplements. It's harder for me to change. So we want to provide that early stage because some young girls are starting their period as young as 11 these days. And if you think about it, from 11 to 18, and you have menstrual data for 5 days every month, and for some girls, if it's irregular, you can get it for multiple, months on end. That would be very, very helpful for, understanding more about yourself and what you can do to be better and healthier in the future.
Understanding more about yourself to be better and healthier in the future. TT, where
Yes.
did you, I think you mentioned a little bit a while ago, but where did you originally come up with this and the problem solution? Like, why does it matter to you so much personally?
Right. So growing up in Nigeria, the first issue I was tackling was menstrual poverty, and that's why Period PADI was born. I grew up in Nigeria, and I saw some of my friends use foam. That was something that I remember. I was like, oh my gosh, I can never have my period. I remember being 9, and I was like, wait, that's what you guys have to do? Like, there's no way in hell. I'm like, it's not gonna happen. And growing up, I saw, more people use rags, and I was like, okay, this can't be it. So my nonprofit initially just started out with giving out free menstrual products. Then I started to understand more about the products we're giving these women, where some of them have toxins in them. And I'm like, okay, we can't be, harming their bodies. We have to be more particular about what we're giving to them. And that's why we started having these like sub initiatives. So the major one was the PMDD campaign. It went super viral. We had over like 60,000 engagements. And eventually I
Sorry, you
connected
said
with 212.
PMDD, if you don't mind. Like,
Yes,
so what's the sort of what is that
yes.
abbreviation for?
PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It usually correlates with women having like these symptoms of like depression, or having this. It's usually stigmatized though. I feel like it's not really recognized as like an issue. They're like, oh, you're overreacting, right? But it usually comes with like menstrual cramps and like all those stuff. So it's like part of the package of menstruation, basically. And we wanted to understand how many women were going through this in silence. And that just opened so many doors. So we're connecting with 212 women, and I have WhatsApp calls day in and day out. Like I'm on calls every single day, literally midnight, speaking to women with bacteria vaginosis, with women with UTI, women that have PCOS, and they're just like, we need supplements. So we started giving these sub grants. Um, 12 women in particular, they mentioned that after almost 2 years of taking antibiotics, the doctors told them that, you've built antibiotics resistance. Go find a home remedy. So they come to me. I'm not a doctor, right? And I'm like, wait, the doctor told you that you've built this resistance and you have to find something else? And that's when I was like, okay, this is becoming a much bigger issue, because had they known earlier, they could have tackled it. But now they're having to seek these home remedies and having to pay a lot of money. And it's very expensive, inaccessible to pay for these medications in, the third world country. So I was like, we have to do something about it. And that's when early diagnostics were like became a priority.
Right. Thank you for sharing. Wow, it's so fun for me to hear and so interesting how entrepreneurs relate to their businesses and relate to the problems that they're solving, where it can come about. And your story is definitely one of them. It stands apart. So thank you for sharing, Titi. And so
Hmm.
you just made it through the Yes program, and you're actually
Yes.
one of the finalists at Pitch Day. It's going to be going on to Demo Day. Congratulations. Like, you did such an
Thank
amazing job,
you.
right? All of
Thank
our
you
young
so
entrepreneurs,
much.
it's so great, but you in particular. Um, how do you think the Yes program actually helped you to shape your current business idea, strategy overall?
First of all, I want to start by saying the YES program is so underrated. And I think that it's a resource that a lot of teens like are not aware of. Because I think, how did I even find out about it? I remember searching for like youth entrepreneur opportunities, and I saw the Yes program, but it wasn't really publicized. Like, it wasn't something that was out there. So I'm looking on TikTok, I'm looking on Instagram, and there's not a lot of information about it. It's usually like, the same posts that we have, and it's kind of like not necessarily like youth heavy. And I remember applying the first time around. I didn't get in. And when I didn't get in, I remember I was in contact with Patricia, and I was like, okay, like, what am I doing wrong? And she was like, no, you had a really strong application. I will suggest that you come back to it. I was like, okay, let's forget about it. But she reached out to me again. And I think that that is what amazed me so much, is that she kept in contact with me and she remembered me, and she was like, Titi, I remember you applied last time. I want to invite you to come again. That for me felt so special. I literally cried when I received that email. I was in shock. Um, but overall, I will say the Yes program definitely was life changing for me. Um, there are lots of things that you want to navigate as a youth entrepreneur, and a lot of resources that you need to navigate entrepreneurship. That I feel like if you don't have such a structured accelerator like this program, you will lack so much. Being able to advocate for yourself, knowing patents and trademarks, and doing all these things. So for me, being an accelerator, I felt more confident talking about my thing. I felt more confident saying I am an entrepreneur. Before, I couldn't really attest to it because I was like, am I? Right? But when you're in that accelerator, it's like you're in it already. You're stuck. Like, regardless, there's no going back. It's happening. So I will say that the Yes Entrepreneur was definitely great in like helping me advocate for myself. And when I would tell them I need this resource, they were on it. They're like, we're gonna get in contact with someone. If we can't find this person, we'll definitely connect you with someone else. And I was always just so in awe of like how much they cared. It wasn't just like, okay, you're in this program for program's sake. It was like, no, we want to tailor every resource to you. And I don't think there are any organizations that like offer that level of support. So
Well, thank you so much. The team cares truly about every individual, and just goes to show that even if you weren't accepted the first round when you apply, we still want to help you succeed, invite you back
right.
to apply again, and then, especially once you're on the inside, provide every single resource that we possibly can. And so, with going through the S program, how do you think that, it's shaped your business?
Oh, I think it shaped it tremendously. In all honesty, my first meeting with my advisor and my mentor actually helped me shape Patty into more of what it is now. Patty had this very rough idea of we are going to be this, detection. We're just going to have this, approach, this one way, approach. And she was like, no, like, let's think about it from this angle, right? Like, what if you have the sensors and you put it into diapers? And I was like, diapers? And she was like, yeah, like, the elders when they need to track, what's going on. And so those type of idea, and I really didn't think about it. And even during the sessions, being able to interact. And I remember there was this one exercise we had where you got to collaborate with, the other teams and you had to build a startup. And I was like, okay, we're going to add this component, we're going to add this component. And we get back into the Zoom, and she's like, if you have this, you're paying me this. If you have this, you're paying me this. And pay yourself. I was like, pay myself? I'm like, I get paid? So all of these realizations really just help you put into perspective what it really is. It's not like the textbook, you look into the textbook and you're like, okay, this is the definition. No, they actualize it. They put it into, practical terms and like actually like how the real world would be. And I think that that was very unique for me and was very, very exciting.
Love that piece, especially that you get to actualize it, put into practical terms, real world situations. Thinking back, like, why did you originally apply for the S program?
Last year, my initial focus was on banana fibers. So actually, a major part of my product is mobilizing and bringing banana fibers into the United States. It's currently not available in the U.S. market, so we actually have started introducing it through my Wellness Boots and my nonprofit. So we're one of the first to do it. Really exciting, and in that time, I remember I was more so focused on what can I do in my community. And during the time, I had this platform called Renest where it's you sell I can't remember what it was, but like you could resell things from college and stuff. But my approach was not very clear and there was no passion in it. It was more so let's just put something out there, but I really didn't care about it. And I feel like in my application I was very vague, even my plan, I was not, very specific. So that kind of caught up to me. So by the time I read my application back, I was like, yeah, TT, what were you thinking? Right, and all that. So yeah, with that being said, I just really, as a biology major in college, it's very cutthroat if you want to gain access to entrepreneurial courses or business courses. You can't really get that support. And at a big school like UCLA, there are very limited, like there's very limited help you can get. So I knew I had to source it somewhere. And, Yes had exactly, what I needed. And I didn't even know how much more I would get beyond the surface, right? So I signed up for one thing and I got a million other things with it. And I was like, this is amazing. So, yeah.
Nice. What excited you most about the Yes program that got you to apply?
Mm. I think the most exciting thing was just knowing I have support. Um, for me, getting into the program felt like this major sense of validation. Like they saw my application and they selected me because they think I have the potential. And I feel like for me, when I was trying to navigate whether or not I should take the pathway to entrepreneurship, I was still having doubts in myself. So by being selected, it's a very competitive process, right? It's not just like everyone gets selected. Like, no, you get these tailored resources, but it comes at, your passion, your time and everything and their time and, everyone's support. So when that selection happened, I was like, okay, That's perfect. And then I think after that pitch day, I was like, I can't wait to pitch. I can't wait to practice my pitch. I can't wait to continue. Like she would be like on the spot, give us a 60-second pitch, and you're like, She's like, you're gonna do this, do it. And I just love how like I progressed over time with this. She's like, oh, you didn't say this today, but that's really good. And I think that that level of excitement of like, oh, when is it gonna happen? Because you don't know she's gonna say anytime. It's not scheduled. It's just do it, and then everyone's just like ready to go. I thought like that was just amazing. So that was beautiful for me.
Practice and pitching makes such a difference, huh? And just always being ready and prepared is an amazing, amazing piece of the puzzle.
It is.
For people that aren't as familiar, right? How would you explain what the Yes program is to, let's say, your best friend?
Hmm. Yes, program is family, it's community. It's not just this cookie cutter entrepreneurship guide. They're not out there to try to get you or, they're not going to force you. They're not going to change you. They truly just want you to bring your best authentic self, and then they help, amplify it. They support you in ways that you need support. If you come in and you're like, I don't want to do this. I want to do this approach and I need this. They will say, okay, let's look at it together. Let's see how we can best approach this. And they'll help you analyze it, right? And I feel like they're just that, all in all support for, navigating things, even beyond just on your entrepreneurial journey. There are sometimes you have conversations about the most casual thing, like, what did you do today? What's your favorite music? And you're just, talking. So I will say that the Yes program is definitely more of a family. It's not this toxic competition. You're not out to get one another. No, it's a collaborative space. Everyone's learning from one another. There is no flaw. There's no such thing as like a stupid question. They'll say that all the time. Ask whatever you want to ask. If you want to ask, what date is today? They're going to answer you with a smile. Like it's nothing, against you. So yeah, definitely they're like, another family.
Amazing. I've actually never gotten that answer before, and so thank you so much for
Mm,
sharing that.
of
Because
course.
that, hey, that's definitely the culture that we're trying to create, right? Where entrepreneurship doesn't have to be this, it's either you or it's me type of environment.
Right.
We can all succeed, all help pull each other up together, and also provide custom support as well, is somewhat of what I'm hearing, right?
Right.
That's right. So over the past 12 full weeks, or you say are, excuse me, what would you say? Man, I need some water, which I usually have right here, and I'm just like stumbling over all my words.
It's okay.
My apologies. But as a 12
No.
weeks of the Yes program, what would you say are some of the biggest lessons that you've gained from BizWorld?
First of all, the video journals will get you. They got me so many times. I will say that's the one thing that till today I did not navigate and I could not navigate. Um,
Oh.
you know, I remember being in Korea and they were like, you record this video. And I would click the prompt. I'd read the prompt in advance and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna answer
Mhm.
all this. And I record, I fit everything. And then the next clip is, okay, this is your first prompt. And I'm like, wait, okay, so what was this first? That drove me nuts. So that was my biggest lesson. The video
Yeah,
journals are, navigate them with
hilarious.
discretion,
Mm,
figure it out. But I will say another big lesson is definitely commit to this as much as they're committing to you. It is very
mm,
easy to take for granted the opportunities that you're given. And it's very easy to think, okay, I have this now, I deserve it. Like, I need to have it. But you do have to realize that the community, there is a certain level of boundary with everything, right? You have to sort of navigate it knowing that they don't have to do this, but they are doing this out of the kindness of their heart, out of, the well wish for you, out of the support they want to provide to you. So, with that, be very grateful and make every opportunity count.
nice.
Right. If they're saying we have access to this patent lawyer and the patent lawyer is providing their email, take that advantage. Email the person, ask any questions, right? It never hurts to ask questions. If you think, okay, you know what, I, have this and I want to navigate my pitch and I don't know what I'm going to do, they're not really going to, go against you and say, okay, we can't do this right now. Like they will try their best to support you.
Mhm.
And if they don't know, they'll, send you to someone who really knows how to support you. And every single thing is structured in a way where you're protected. Like even the Zooms are on, protected servers, right? They ensure that, everything is always, protected and supported, and it's guided in a way where it's like, you're not uncomfortable, things are not off. So in that way, like, you're secure within this community. So I will say that I always felt, very excited to join the sessions. Over time, by like, the sixth week, you start getting a little tired when that Thursday hits and you're like, oh my gosh. But by the time you get into the session, you're just going to start laughing. Something's going to happen. You're going to collaborate. You're going to learn something and go, wow, I never thought about that before. So make the most of that 12 weeks because it does go by fast.
It goes by fast, and some weeks can feel difficult, but yeah, make it count, right? It's easy to take it
Yeah,
for granted, but make it count, use it to its fullest. If you
exactly.
could pick a individual skill, one primary skill that you gained from the program, what would that be?
Hmm. An individual skill. Mm, 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 Pitching. I think
Pitching.
pitching. Pitching has to
Hmm.
be my strongest. I got the honor to connect with Mr. Larry Jacobson, and he is a legend, an icon. It was so exciting just meeting with him. And I remember literally during our first session, he said, Titi, you have this strength that you're not realizing and tapping into. And I was like, what? I was thinking he was going to say, like, oh, approach and, do this and speak a certain way. He's like, your smile. He's like, smile. And I was like, "My smile?" He's like, "Yes, like when you talk about it, just smile. Like I promise you, like that is what you need to do." And I'm just looking at him. I'm like, "This day, like I'm pitching against with other people, and you want me to smile? I'm nervous. I'm tired. Like it's a lot." But you know, I really learned the art of condensing things and like pitching sometimes if you have a topic and you have like let's say your business, I can go on for 20 minutes and talk about it, but you don't have 20 minutes, right? You only have 3 minutes and sometimes maybe even 60 seconds. And I think that the art of pitching and learning how to truly effectively pitch, where you're connecting with your audience, right? You are showing the concise and the most important aspects of your business, as well as showing who you are as a person and as a part of the business, whether you're the founder or you're the co-owner. I think that those are very essential skills that a lot of people fail to realize are important for and a great pitch. Because if you stand there and you're reading your screen and like, I'm here to present PADI, I can assure you before you even end, even if it's a great product, the likelihood of you getting selected is probably a little slimmer. So I will say definitely
Yeah.
the art of pitching is one thing I'm grateful to have learned.
Oh, that's wonderful. There's so much that goes into it, way more than just knowing the facts, right? Because if you sit there and you just
Right.
read a piece of paper, you're not going to do it nearly as well. So I'm so happy that you connected with Larry, right? The pitch coach. There's so many mentors. How
Right.
important is mentorship in entrepreneurship?
Super important. It is very, very, very important. I think as a youth and a teen entrepreneur, you're going to feel lost. It is inevitable. It's kind of just that thing that you have to go through. And I always say, in a way, rejection is redirection. And like that can even be with your ideas, right? Let's say you have this concept that you feel like I am very, very strongly with, like, I want to go this way. You may not be thinking about the other aspects to it that are controlling that decision that you're making. And if you don't tackle it and nip it right now in sort of like the short term, it's going to affect you in the long term, right? Or if you're limiting your capabilities, like I was in your exploration of your ideas and your concepts, you don't get to really understand, what more you can do. You think it's this small idea, but it's like you can go much further. So I will say that mentorship, especially within the YES program, because it is a family, right? It feels very natural. Like you're talking to a friend, like you're asking a friend for advice, what can I do? I'm lost in this. And you don't feel overwhelmed because they do understand that you're just starting out and there's just so much in the world. So they ensure that, they're giving you the information that you need without bombarding all these facts and all these, necessary things on you. They're basically helping you, guide, and they're helping you understand yourself better and your business better. So I will say the mentorship is 110%. Like it's the key and it's very important to, advancing and, being better as an entrepreneur.
I couldn't agree with you more, right? Mentorship is the key. right? It'll just fast forward so many things. You understand yourself better, as well as, of course, understanding your business as well.
Right.
Thinking about, right, so mentorship and all of the coaches and the staff are super important, and it's a big piece of yes. Another big piece is the community of the other young entrepreneurs, right? The other teams. How did being surrounded by a group of peers, of young entrepreneurs impact you?
It was lovely. I think the biggest part about it is when you see how driven these entrepreneurs are about their business and how passionate they are, there's a certain level of confidence that you start to garner where you're like, okay, why can't I feel this confident about my business? I mean, most times when you're starting, there's that imposter syndrome of what am I doing here? Right? Like, what am I doing? Why am I navigating this? And you realize that not everyone has it all together. During sessions, there's sometimes where people are like, okay, I did this, but I think I'm going to pivot to this next time, right? Or you have these teams of people that are like, okay, we have this idea, but different people have different thoughts about how we want it to go. And I think it just helps you realize that no one has it all together. And even the pro and the experts, they don't have it together. So it kind of helps you feel, related to. You have this relatable team of individuals and you're all figuring it out together and you're not competing with one another. You're collaborating. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's because it's not like, okay, you against you and then you guys battle. Like it's never really like that. It's like you learn from one another. And there are times where you even present your ideas and concepts and they get to give you criticism. And I remember one key part, they brought alumni to come in and we had our business plan. And, they looked at it and they were like, you have this, 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 and this. However, I've been through the program. I would recommend you putting this, this, and this. And it worked out, right? So I will say that every single thing is just a cycle of support. So by, being affiliated and being this in this team, in this community, it really just helps you, understand more about why you're in this journey and it helps you feel, related to. So it's perfect. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Great. What would you say was the most valuable part to you of the BizWorld Yes program?
Oh my goodness. The most valuable part, definitely 110%, has to be like our small meeting when we would go to our breakout rooms and we would get to collaborate with other teams. I feel like when I came in with this like, oh my gosh, like my idea, like, I have to protect it, I have to ride for it. That's all I need to focus on. And by being able to put it aside and work on this prototypical sort of system with other individuals, it helped me understand that, having a team is very important, right? There's only so much me you can do within a team. And you may think I can handle it all, I can do it, but the truth of the matter is you will need a team eventually. It's just something that has to happen. And that kind of helped me actualize it. Where it's like people have different strengths. Some people work with coding, and some people, work with media and marketing and design, and it all comes together as a part of a business. Business is not just your selling and buying. No, nowadays business is your marketing, your image, your brand, your logo, the videos, the engagement. It's a whole process. And if you think, okay, I can do it all by myself, it's like, okay, we'll see how that goes. So I definitely think that that was the most valuable part. It's just being able to learn from other people's strengths and being able to pick up one or two things. So now I know that, okay, if I need help with marketing, I can call up my girl and say, hey, can you give me some tips on how you were able to navigate it? Because all of us are connected on LinkedIn, on Instagram, we are a tight community. So by being involved with that, I definitely gain access to the most amazing youth entrepreneurs.
Wonderful, man. The small meetings, the connections with the other young entrepreneurs is so valuable, right? Who we surround ourselves with brings us up to a whole nother level and shows us what's possible and then gives us those resources to maybe fill
Right.
in the gaps that we're missing.
Right.
Ah, love it. Why do you think programs like Yes, right? Small business accelerators are so important for young entrepreneurs?
Oh, wow. I believe that we live in a society where many youths, many passionate youths, right? We call it the Gen Zs, have these amazing ideas, but they do not believe in themselves. I feel like nowadays we have people as young as 7 with startups, right? And when you're especially in an underserved part of the community, like I am a low income student, I'm first generation, right? And there's only so much you can get. Like support from my family. It's like, who in my family knows a lot about entrepreneurship or business, right? I don't have that connection. I don't have that support. I don't have those, meetings and getting, those affiliations. So by being, in this community, it really just provided me with that support that I couldn't, get outside of it. So I think for a lot of youth entrepreneurs that are doubting themselves and saying, I have this great idea that can even change the world. I feel like I know it can impact people, right? It's impacted me, it's impacted my friends, but I don't know how to take it a step further. Yes, is that like perfect, like, next step that you need to approach. You need to understand, how can I amplify? How can I make, this major impact and receive the support? So for a lot of youth entrepreneurs, I will say that it is very fundamental because these are the things you're not taught at school, right? A lot of the, members would come straight from school and they're locked in. They're in the meetings, they're excited to learn. They're more excited than, if they're in a classroom. If we had these education in the classroom, we would, have so many more entrepreneurs. Like it would be more accessible, right? It wouldn't be this thing where it's like it's limiting or, it's very difficult to get in or, cutthroat environments. Like no. So I think that they are bridging the gaps and there are, bridging disparities of youths not having access to this sort of opportunity. And I think that that's very, very, very important.
Wow. It is so important. I also, just that piece, I'll highlight that oftentimes youth aren't getting this type of education in schools. And it is so important, not only if you want to go into business, but to learn confidence, public speaking skills, teamwork skills, which you mentioned earlier,
Right,
relates to everything for the rest of your life. Um,
right.
Unbelievable. And so, well, TT, right, you are a finalist at Pitch Day. So next is demo day with a chance to pitch for up to $30,000 in seed funding,
Yes.
which is so exciting. What's next for Patty? What would you use the funds for? Talk to us just a little bit about what your future looks like.
Definitely. I will say validating the pads is definitely a major part. We are using, this sort of biosensing technology. It's new, right? We are actually filing a patent for this. And I think that part of why we have been very scared about sort of scaling Patty further is because the protection of our ideas, right? We are like,
Mm,
if we share so much about this, the technological part of our product, who's out there and who's going to take it and run with it. And because this is a very new concept, it's innovative, it's the first of its kind, we want to make sure that we are protected. So the first thing we are looking into is getting our IP and validating that and getting that out the way. Next steps will definitely also be validating the pads as well. We want to start with prototyping as well as with clinical trials. So with my nonprofit, we have a lot of women that are still lacking this early detection and a lot of women who really need the support. And some of them are like, we don't care what stage you're in, we need the support. Like there is this lack, right? Like we don't care, we really just give it out. So but we are very particular about the impact that we give, right? We can't just provide a product that is not supporting them and having making them wait and stuff. So we are working with our bioengineers in Glasgow and in Nigeria to really just work on that technology to have the pad ready, so then we can move into clinical trials in Nigeria and start supporting women, taking the data and then building our platform. We have the software and the hardware version of our product as well. So building the software and then launching it, a little media marketing here and there. I have a wellness booth.
mm.
We grow out into high schools, providing mental and financial resources. So we're going to start integrating more high schools and in Sacramento, in LA, and maybe even out of state. Who knows? So yeah, there's just so much in store for what Patty has.
Oh, but we're so excited to follow along. Man, everything from
Yes.
getting your IP together, which there's in the S program, there's coaching around that as well, right? And
Yes.
then actually, man, validating the pads, going to clinical trials, and man, you guys are helping and serving so many people.
Yes.
That's
Yes. It's amazing
that's
with the help of
well,
yes,
that's
right?
well, yes, I'm so happy about that. Let's say that there's young people that are watching the video right now. What would you say to another young person, not even necessarily an entrepreneur, but another young person
Yeah.
that's thinking about applying to yes?
Oh my gosh. Do it. There is no doubt in my mind. Do it. I will always say that rejection is redirection. Put your best foot forward. And there is that fear of, okay, what if I get rejected? What if I'm not perfect for this? But I think you don't know what you don't know unless you go through it. And I think that it's just very important to put yourself out there, right? Life is all
Mm.
about just risks, right? There is no fee to applying, right? There is no, like, oh, you have, like, if you get in, like, you're going through this rigorous process and it's like this elimination, like, it's not like that, right? The best thing you can do is just apply, right? And there are a lot of resources out there, right? There are past entrepreneurs that have launched businesses that you can learn from their experiences. There are interviews on, BizWorld's Instagram, on their LinkedIn as well. They have lots and lots of resources. You can tap into that. And I will say that you can also communicate. I know for me personally, I was able to connect with, one of the, BizWorld. I don't know if I can mention Patricia. And I feel like if you have any questions, Patricia is a great resource. She's always down to help. If you send an email and you're like, okay, there's this part of my application I don't know how to navigate, 110%. Even if you drop a comment, if you DM BizWorld, you can. There's so many resources out there for you. So just apply, just do it. Right? There's no like perfect entrepreneur. You figure it out as you go. So just do it. Put your best foot forward, and just be ready to take every opportunity and learn.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful, right? Just do it. Totally agree. Like I said, there's no cost to apply. We're so fortunate that we're able to provide the Yes program to the young entrepreneurs at no cost to them. And like we're so thankful that we have amazing supporters, amazing donors that make that possible. What would you say to someone like why should somebody support and donate to BizWorld and the Yes program?
Youths these days have some of the most amazing, innovative, life-changing, world-changing ideas, and they need that extra push. And whatever support, whether it's through your time, your funding, definitely makes an impact. Like for me, being a first generation, lower income student, there are lots and lots of resources that I lacked access to. And by being in this program, it truly helped me see this perspective to understand that I can be an entrepreneur. Now think how much more, other students from other communities, right? I had a friend who mentioned that, she's in the program. She's like, a small girl from Ohio, I'm probably one of the first in my community to do this. Like, this is life changing for me, right? It's a life changing opportunity for these youths. Like, we do not take it for granted. We come into those sessions excited. We come into those sessions ready to learn. And we have, the most amazing mentors, the most amazing community to support us with this. So, yes, program is definitely one that, 110% you should support because there are so many youths that are waiting, to access more resources and to access this opportunity. So please make this opportunity more accessible for more youths.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I heard somebody say one time, I'm just curious your opinion, that entrepreneurs are innovators, which create businesses, which support the economy, right? And then the economy supports sort of the world, right? Do you think there's a direct correlation then between people donating, supporting, yes, and ultimately helping to boost the economy?
Yes. Part of my pitch, there is one part of my pitch that says, when the healthcare fails to support feminine health, your tax dollars pay the price. And it's so true. It's because there are a lot of limitations that we have in the world where it's like, these innovators are helping either providing low cost options or more accessible options. And when the economy, is worried on, paying the price for this much larger issue when there's a youth out there that's tackling this issue, right? It sort of puts the priority into, things that are not really, priority or aren't as needed. So I will say that, your support, your funding is an investment into, helping the economy and even beyond that, right? Helping the world, right? It changes and they're revolutionizing different fields and it really makes that difference. So I will say that, and I always tell people, I'm like, my product can be what, your kid is going to use one day or, your great grandchildren is going to use one day. It's going to be a resource. So you think it's not going to impact you, but trust me, there's someone in the world that you either know or you're connected to that could be supported by the products that these youths are creating. So 110%, I will say that the people that you are supporting have the most amazing ideas, and it definitely is, worth your investment in any way, shape, or form.
And Titi, thank you so much. I greatly, greatly appreciate your time. For anybody out there that wants to go learn more about you and about PADI, where's probably the best place for them to go?
Yes, definitely. I will. My LinkedIn is very important. So Titilope Olotu on LinkedIn. That's kind of where I'm starting to keep up with PADI's traction. There's also PADI for you. Our Instagram. We are working sort of like the nonprofit side, so you get to see the initiative of who we're doing it for, the community we're doing it for. That way, you get to see the full picture. We wanted to make sure that with our brand, it's not just a product, right? We're trying to sell the story and the individuals and the people that are going through these issues, right? The underserved. So by going to and keeping track with it, you get to see where your support or where your interest, and you get to understand the kind of support that Yes is providing, the type of entrepreneurs that they're selecting to this program, and why you should support it even more. So I definitely would say that you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or on Patty for You's Instagram.
Titi, thank you again. It's such a pleasure. We're super excited to follow along your journey and the PADI
Thank
journey
you.
as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.